We have a guest with us today. Alexa, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your name, what you do, where you're from, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa. I am from Massachusetts. I grew up in a small town called Hamilton, which I'm sure none of you have probably heard of. But it's about 10 minutes away from Salem, Massachusetts, which is pretty famous for all the witch trials back in the day. Um, so I work for the Boston Ski and Sports Club. We are a year-round adult sports league company that basically it's kind of intramural sports for adults. That's how I like to describe it.
Sure.
Um, we've been around since 1967,
Hmm.
so we are very well established. We well, obviously, pre-COVID, we would have about 50,000 participants yearly.
All right.
Um,
Hey. Yeah.
Obviously, with the pandemic, that it has made things a little bit difficult. We are still running, knock on wood, but it's obviously at a much smaller scale because we've had to deal with state mandates and curfews and all other sorts of things. So yeah.
So
Um,
what is your title there?
Yep.
Where you work?
So I am a sports program manager. So I am in charge of soccer, women's field hockey, and women's lacrosse. We don't offer men's lacrosse just because it's too violent and our insurance company won't cover
A little
it.
too aggressive.
Yes. So yeah, that's my title.
And you're there in Boston?
So yeah, so our office is in Watertown, which is about 10-15 minutes from um, Boston.
Okay.
And then all of our sports leagues, all the fields that we play at, we don't own, we rent them. So it's either from a school or a college or they're private businesses that have their own like indoor outdoor sports fields. Um, so it's all over the greater Boston area.
Okay. Cool.
Yep,
I've only been to Boston a couple of times, but I really like Boston as a city. I think it's got a cool vibe, if you will.
it is. It's
Um,
very unique.
tell us about your involvement in sports and recreation activities from a kid and until now. What do you personally enjoy doing, or what have you done?
Um, so back in the day, I used to be quite athletic. Um, I, uh, as a kid, I did soccer and basketball, track, field hockey for one season, lacrosse for one season. Um, and I was a 4-year varsity soccer player in high school. One of my biggest life regrets is not pursuing it in college, but oh well. So I've always loved sports. It's always been a big part of my life. And when I went to the University of New Hampshire in Durham, New Hampshire. I I started off as a communication major, and that quickly changed when I found out you could major in recreation. So it's funny. A few years ago, when I was doing my resume, I noticed that every single job I've had has been in the recreation field. Like I started off as a camp counselor in high school and college. Then when I was in college, I worked at the campus recreation facility there. Um, and then after I graduated, I was a sports director at a YMCA for a few years, and then I landed here. So sports have always been a part of my life. Um, and yeah.
Okay. So beyond sports, what other kind of things do you do for fun?
What other things do I do for fun? Well, obviously, COVID has changed everything, but normally what I like to do, I'm very close with my family. We're all still in Massachusetts. My sister has a 2-year-old son, so my nephew, who I like to spend time with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I have a dog, a 6-year-old English bulldog named Agnes. She's actually under my desk right now waiting for me. So that, and I'm very into art. I do, it's called pyrography or wood burning. So
Hmm.
that's something I like to do. I love the women's U.S. national soccer team. So I'm a big fan of them. And then like movies and Netflix and Disney Plus.
So what are you binging on Netflix right now?
Right now on Netflix, my sister's trying to get me to watch Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Um, so I have to start that. But I just watched on Amazon The Wilds. That was really good.
Oh, I have to check it out.
Yeah, it's like Lost, but it's good. It's very good.
I'm doing WandaVision on Disney Plus, trying to keep up with that, and then I just watched Oktoberfest on Netflix. Uh,
Oktoberfest. Is that about the actual Oktoberfest?
yes, yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's a dramatized an account of the Oktoberfest of the early 1900s.
oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to
When I
add
said
that
it
to
out
my.
loud, I realized what a nerd I am, but that's okay.
That's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, I did watch Dinosaurs on Disney Plus the other day. That's circa 1990s, so that was a
Yeah.
nice little flashback. Good times.
So you told us you went to University of New Hampshire. Tell us what you
Mhm.
majored in, what kind of classes you took, and your educational background.
Okay. So yeah, I went to UNH. I was a recreation management major with a minor in rhetoric and public address, which was the communication minor. Um, so I did all of the like intro classes, like the typical, I don't remember like the class numbers, but it was like intro to recreation. And then I did like program design and facility design classes. I also had to take a people with disabilities class. So it was just all about how to get people with disabilities to participate in recreation. So that was really interesting. What other classes did I take? I took a festivals class.
What class was your favorite? I mean, if you could pick one out or a professor out, what was your favorite and why?
Um, it was probably it was probably the intro class, which I took my freshman year.
Yeah.
The professor Bob Barcelona, he was just amazing. He was so passionate about recreation. And like I said before, I had started off as a communication major, but then my cousin who had just graduated from UNH told me about rec management and about Bob Barcelona and how he was amazing. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. And I took the class and fell in love with it. So I switched my major.
Yeah, Dr. Barcelona, I guess I should say, is a very good dude overall. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
very nice guy. And it's
so,
funny because
okay,
at BSSC during the summer, we have college summer interns. And we've had a couple over the years that I've been here from UNH. So Bob has come and like uh, evaluated the students, and it's just kind of funny to see like my college professor.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
So something you mentioned that I want to kind of go back to is you said you've had a lot of different jobs, or you talked about all your jobs and your resume is all rec sports. So
mhm.
walk us through some of those jobs that you've had and how it's kind of led you to where you're at.
Mhm. Um, so jobs. So I guess I'll just start with the beginning, babysitting. I've always loved children. I actually used to want to be a teacher, but decided not to. My mother's a teacher of 42 years, and she told me don't do it. So I guess like just always being with kids and playing games with them always kind of sparked my interest, which rolled into my job at the camp. It was actually my childhood camp. So I was a camp counselor there for 5 or 6 years. Um, and then my job at UNH. So I actually got involved through Bob because he had, with one of the classes, he had a guest speaker come and talk all about the campus recreation department. And they were saying that they were hiring people. I was like, that would be a good way to get involved and make some money. Um, so I did that. So I worked as a facility fitness center facility attendant. So I basically just like made sure people were using the equipment properly and I cleaned it. It wasn't like a personal trainer gig. It was just more like making sure people weren't breaking the machines.
Sure, yeah.
And then I worked in the equipment room. So if someone wanted to like rent out a basketball or a soccer ball or racquetball sticks, I would deal with that. Then I eventually became a facility supervisor. So that was a big responsibility because you're in charge of this multi-million-dollar building, and that's what, 20 years old. So that was a job that I was pretty proud of getting. Just having to deal with any conflicts or complaining customers. So that was a good experience that I gained there. In college, I did my college internship at the Manchester Parks and Rec department. So Manchester it's the location where the Casey Affleck movie was, just to put things in perspective. Also,
Which movie?
Manchester by the Sea with Casey
Oh,
Affleck.
yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Love that movie.
so Hamilton is right near Salem with the witches, Manchester by the Sea with Casey Affleck, and also near Gloucester with the Perfect Storm. So in that area. So there I did my big project when I was doing my internship. I totally redesigned their community brochure with that list all their classes and trips and all their other offerings they were doing. Because it used to be really ugly and it's just like really simple. So I just tried to snazz it up a bit.
Sure.
I also, part of that position, I worked at Singing Beach, which is the local beach that the rec department is in charge of. So I was the assistant facility manager there. So I had to oversee the staff that had to collect people's walk-on fees, because unfortunately in Massachusetts, some of the beaches you have to pay to go there because the town taxes don't cover it. Even though everyone in town thinks that their taxes cover the beach, it doesn't. So dealing with complaining customers with
I think I lost you for a second with the technology here. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't get to the last couple of seconds as far as what you were saying. It cut out.
Okay. So I also had to oversee the parking lot. There's only spots, and residents get priority. So checking that people had their parking pass, and then dealing with non-residents who wanted to park. So it was an interesting experience. I also helped out like with they had like a summer conference series, so I would go and help out. That was really fun. What's my next job? Then after I graduated, I worked at the Ipswich Y, which is also in Massachusetts. I worked there for 4 years. So I was a youth and adult okay.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So I had to oversee the parking lot, dealing with residents. They got private.
And go.
Okay, so after I graduated from UNH, I got a job right out of college working as a youth and adult sports director at the Ipswich YMCA in Massachusetts. So I worked there for about 4 years. I scheduled all the youth programs, so like like Lego club and science class, an art class. We also did weekly sports classes, so I taught a lot of classes and coached a lot. I coached gymnastics, which I hadn't done since I was like 5 years old. But I did like the parent-child class for like 2 to 3 year olds, which was adorable. and I was also involved with the summer day camp. I was the sports director there, or the head sports coach. So I got to see each age group and do different games each day. So
Yeah.
that was fun. I also oversaw the winter youth basketball league, which used to have like 300 kids, 400 kids. I honestly
Oh,
don't remember.
dang.
Yeah, it was pretty big. Um, and then I also oversaw the adult basketball and volleyball leagues. So I got a lot of good experience working at a Y. Um, I loved working with the kids. Not so much the parents, but the kids were adorable. And then when I kind of was looking for something new, um, my best friend from UNH, Casey, she had a job here at Boston Ski and Sports Club, and they were looking for a person to do the assistant sports manager position. So I applied and interviewed and got it. So that was amazing. So I did that when I first started. And then I quickly, so as the assistant sports manager, I didn't have a sport of my own. I kind of helped all the other sports managers.
Mhm.
BSSC has soccer leagues, basketball, football, dodgeball, volleyball, floor hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, golf, frisbee. I think that's everything.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
test.
Yeah. So it's so I would help each sports manager during the day, like getting game results and updating those files and posting the results online, because participants obviously want to see how well their team's doing.
Yeah.
And then I would get prizes and team shirts and inflate soccer balls. And then the second part of the shift, because it was the after hour shift, so I would go in to the office around like 1 or 2 o'clock, work a few hours, and then I'd have to go out to different fields all over the greater Boston area. So I'd have to bring, like for a league startup, bring the team's shirts and their balls and go over the rules and make sure everyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
um, and then if it was a final, I would go and bring prizes. um, and then I very quickly started to get promoted, I guess I would say. Like
Yeah.
I took over the field hockey league, which is very small. There's only like three leagues for that. And then I took over a few months later. I took over the lacrosse league, and then about a year or so into the position, I took over the soccer league. So then I eventually kind of, yeah, I guess got promoted.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Um,
Just kind of
so yeah,
moving on up.
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Moving on up. So for my position now, basically, I work with the sports director. He's in charge of finding the facilities that we use. And once he secures a permit for that place, I'll work with him to decide like pricing and what else do I need? Like game times and all
Yeah.
that jazz. And then I'll set it all up in our database, post it on our website, and then I start recruiting teams. I've been with the company for almost 8 years, so I have really good relationships with a good chunk of the captains.
Yeah.
Some captains have been playing with us for like over 20 years. So do that, and then what else do I do? I make the schedules, deal with charging the teams their payments, working with, we have ref assigners, so I have to send them the schedule, and then they're in charge of getting certified refs for the game. So that's a nice thing about the job. So I don't really have to worry about refs
Yeah.
or assigning refs. I do have to deal with ref complaints, which happens all the time, but you know, people like to complain.
Sure. That kind of leads me to another question. So, I've dealt with refs, and I've been a ref myself.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a rough part of the job. But
Yeah.
what I want to ask is, what are your favorite parts of your job?
Favorite parts. Well, like I said before, I used to be very athletic, not so much anymore. So I really like that I'm still involved. Um, and that it sounds so corny to say that I like provide an activity for adults to continue doing what they like to do.
Yeah.
Um, some people like playing in their field hockey game is the highlight of their week. So it's nice to know that I'm providing them that because after college or so after college there isn't really that many places to go play for adults. So that's why
Yeah.
I like ESSE.
Yeah, I know I played in a similar when I was living in Kentucky. I played in the Lexington Sport and Social Club, I think is what it's called, something along those lines.
Okay.
And it's kind of the same thing as what y'all have there. And then,
Mhm.
you're exactly right. It gives you an outlet to still enjoy the activity in that kind of intramural type atmosphere.
Yes.
It's really cool. And, I really enjoyed it. So my next question is, if you weren't working there or if you weren't in the recreation field, what would you be doing or what is your dream job?
Um, my dream job.
It can be anything. There's no judgments.
I know. I can't, like, honestly, I can't think of. I mean, if I wasn't here, I'd probably work at a park and rec department. But my dream job, I don't. Well, I mean, I wanted to be a teacher, but then I got talked out of that. Um, I don't
What are
know
some other things you think you might do, and if you had the chance?
things I might do if I had a chance. This is.
I think being in charge of like the penguins at the zoo would be pretty sweet.
Oh, okay. So something like that. Well, okay.
You know?
Well, when I was in the first grade, I really wanted to be an ice cream truck driver.
Yeah.
I wrote a story and it was
There
so
we
good.
go.
I got
Yeah.
to walk around to all the other classes and read them my story. So I always joke that that is my retirement plan is to be an ice cream truck driver.
That and oh, that is so awesome. I didn't even I've never thought about that, but you know what? That brings nothing but joy to everybody's day,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So
I feel like I might be too much eating on the ice cream.
oh yeah, I would definitely do a what is it, a five finger discount or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah.
Um, so God, and the music, I can just hear the tunes in the head just as
Mhm.
you said it. That's so cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of getting back on track a little bit. I just like to hear that question, hear what people have to say about it. So you see, what's funny is everybody, and I've said this before, everybody I've talked to with one of these interviews is they always choose something that like makes people happy, no matter what it is. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
That's
Um,
that's true.
so when you when people watch this and they're thinking, oh, Alexa's got such a cool job, or I really want to be in a similar job at some point. Um,
Mhm.
what are some pieces of advice you could give these young professionals or students or whatnot?
Yep. Um, One thing that I recommend is definitely take advantage of any programs or offerings that your college offers. At UNH, they had it was called Hood House, and they would offer like peer resume helping and cover letters. Get involved with any on campus activities or clubs or work at your. Do you guys have a campus rec
Oh yeah,
facility? Yeah, so try and get a job there or um, uh, yeah, just take advantage of what you got when you're in college because I mean you're paying for it.
yeah,
Um, yeah, just any way to get involved, beef up that resume. Um, and college is also a great time to figure out what you want to do because I remember when I was in school, everyone wanted to all the other rec management majors, they all wanted to like work for the New England Patriots or the Boston Bruins. So like people don't really think of the other aspects of recreation,
sure.
for like the everyman or the non-professional athlete. Um, so if there's in your hometown, if there's a park and rec department, either try and get involved there with a job or volunteer. Um, just try out different things. There's campus rec, parks and rec.
Plus, there's like a nonstop schedule of different events all around us all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, hopefully post COVID,
Yeah.
it's really thrown a wrench in our plans. But yeah,
So,
I mean, the rec field is just so much more than professional sports. So just keep that in mind and take advantage of any opportunity you can. Even if you don't think you're going to like it, just still try it, you know?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is what I enjoyed learning about your background is the real diversity of different things you got your toes wet in, so to speak.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
So before I let you go, so what do you think your future goals are? What are you thinking about as far as your career? What does it look like in the future for you?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely very happy here. I've been here, like I said, for almost 8 years. Um, I'd love to build the our programs more. Like I've said multiple times already, obviously COVID has really thrown a wrench in our plans. But I'm very excited for once we're past COVID, just to get back onto the field and see all of my captains again. So I'm looking forward to that. As for long-term plans, who knows? I mean, I definitely will obviously work in the rec field. Either it be like the ultimate goal of like being a director at a park and rec department. That's probably where I see myself ultimately.
Yeah,
Maybe, who knows? I don't know.
very good.
Yeah,
Well, so Alexa, I want to say thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. Let me pepper you with some questions.
you're welcome.
Again, it's been incredibly nice learning about your past and your history with Parks and Rec, and it's always interesting to hear it's such a small world. We both know your friend Casey, but
Hmm.
when you mentioned Bob Barcelona, I thought,
I know.
right, it's incredible.
That's
So
I was very surprised that you were like, oh yeah, Bob.
yeah,
Yeah. So it is
so it's it never ceases to amaze me how the people you meet and the good people you meet in this field.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
what I'll say
Good
is, if
luck
you
with
ever need anything from me,
everything.
let me know.
Yep. Yep. And if you have any other questions or students have questions, feel free to contact me.
All right. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Alexa.
All right. Have a
Bye
good one.
bye.